Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is American Negro slavery, the Civil War amendments, and human trafficking. And we are fortunate to have with us to talk about a whole series of efforts on the part of some people to keep people enslaved, as well as to use people in what is termed human trafficking, Alana McLaughlin. And of course, Alana will give us some information in reference to her background, her education, and some of the things that were important in terms of bringing her with us this morning. And we might also add, for those of our viewers who might not know you, Alana, that you've been with us on many, many occasions, and you've given us some excellent information in reference to a whole variety of issues. And today you've decided that you wanted to talk about slavery, the Civil War amendments, and human trafficking. But before we get into that, Alana, let's have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the things that were important in terms of eventually bringing you to us and to have you to deal with this particular topic this morning.
Well, first of all, I want to start by saying good morning, and also, as you've already said, my name is Alana McLaughlin. I was born August 27th, 2002, born and raised right here in Nashville. I currently go to John Early Middle School. I'm going to sixth grade. Now, some interesting things about me and some of what kind of brought me here was, well, when I was growing up, I used to watch you kind of format your videos to be able to put on YouTube, and I started by crawling around your office, and then by the time I got to about the age of 6, I started tapping on like, I want to be on the show, put me on the show, I want to be on the show. And then by the age of 7, you finally let me on. And so that's kind of what, so basically begging got me here. And so I've been doing the show ever since I'm 7, and I'm about to be 11. So now some things of me, like some activities I do. I am in the acolyte ministry at my church. I do it quite often, actually. I am on the debate team. Back in March, I won our championship as single ranked, me at like the top of everybody. And so I think that's pretty cool. And those are some of the activities I do outside of school. And I basically focus on work. And so it's just work. And I don't have a problem with it. And so that's how I live, and those are some things about me.
Very good. And so, Alana, you decided today to talk about a topic that I think we've had you to deal with on a number of occasions, but that is known as American Negro slavery. And I think you've mentioned to us earlier that slavery started in 1690 and ended in 1865. That was about 300 years. Let's talk about slavery within that context, leading up to what you would call the Civil War and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Tell the audience this morning what you know about the institution of slavery from that perspective.
Slavery. When you hear that word, most of you think of Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroads, picking cotton and burning up in the hot sun. But it's much more than that. It's almost like a book almost, but every page is a new aspect. Slavery, it was all kinds of things. You could be a servant inside the house, or you could be the one picking cotton outside in the farm. Now, there were different types of slavery, and there were different types of slaves. Actually, interesting fact about slavery, back in those days, if you were, say, like the color of the inside of my skin right here, so if you were like this color and up, you would be a servant. You would work inside the house. And if you were very, very dark, you would work outside in the field. So they had the light skinned and the more, say, pretty people working inside the house, and if you were darker, which they classified you as ugly, you had to work outside. And they basically did that because the more light-skinned you were, the closer you were to white. But you still weren't white, so you still had to be a slave, but at least you didn't have to work as hard as the people who they thought were ugly. And so that's the interesting fact about slavery. And when I say that there were different aspects of slavery, I mean there were different, well, I say different, I mean there were all sorts of slavery. There were all sorts of labor, all sorts of torture. But in the end, slavery was slavery. there's no good slavery, there's only bad slavery.
Okay,
And
very
that's
good. And of course, Alana, I think that that is essentially some of the information that we wanted to bring out in reference to this first part of the show for today, to get your background, education, that kind of information, and to get you started and laying the foundation for the discussion of the end of slavery with the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.